It's so funny because I'm watching the opener with Punk and Bobby Fish, and it hit me. I was like, wow, with CM Punk and Bryan Danielson now on this show, it is a true wrestling variety show when it comes to the styles of folks. If you're a fan of the high spots and all the impressive moves, you got your matches on this show. If you are a little bit more of a fan of a lot of the, what would you call it? The Gaga, you got your show. If you're a fan of your brawling, you got Mox, you got Eddie Kingston, you got your show. And if you're a fan of, a little bit of slower matches with grappling, now with Punk and Danielson and Bobby Fish, you got your show. And it hit me when I was watching this going like, wow, it's attractive to tons of different wrestling styles. And I thought about that even before we saw the main event. So, because talk about, if you look at the first match on this show and then you look at the last match on this show, you're almost like, wow, if one of those things is wrestling, what is the other thing? And you go, well, it's still wrestling, and it's just completely different. And there's a fan base for each style. Because I'm looking at Twitter, and I'm seeing a lot of Punk and Fish, that was fun. Punk and Fish, that was kind of boring. Main event, it was so fun to just do stupid stuff. And then the other side of that, which is, gosh, I'm so embarrassed with matches like this. So it's just the fan bases, or the fan base, wide ranges, right, of what they think wrestling is. And I think AEW plays into that really well, because those two matches were completely the opposite of each other.
And that's why they're split apart, I think it's smart to put Punk and Fish first. You don't want to run off everyone, at least not, we'll see. I may do a great rating. Probably will, probably do the main event, probably do probably the highest number of the show. I don't know, maybe Punk will because he's a bigger star. But yeah, I liked the first hour, the second hour I didn't like, and then that main event, it was just embarrassing for me, watching it. Lucky no one saw me watch it, I'm just watching by myself. My wife would have walked in, she would have just definitely made fun of me for watching this stuff still. So
I was turned off for the most part. There was a little, I think you can give them a little bit of leeway because of the fact that it was Halloween, so it gave them a reason to dress up in costumes. They warned us last week that this was coming up, that this was going to happen. And so you give them a little bit of leeway for that reason, because they're not the only company that has ever done matches in Halloween costumes and stuff. It's always, I think the thing that made this different is that they did it in smack dab in the middle of the blood feud. And so when you have Adam Page come out as the Stay Puft Marshmallow guy and, hit all of his moves, when it comes to the video packages and the road to Full Gear, and you're talking about this serious match, some of the moves that he's going to be doing is in a Halloween costume.
Yeah, this would be fun if it was for something mid-card or something, something goofy, not for your main event stuff, especially when you're, building up to a world championship match, the main event of a pay-per-view coming up, especially when I have a couple weeks left to that pay-per-view. I just think it was a waste. And it all just didn't make sense overall, psychology-wise. Okay, I can understand the Dark Order coming out and being kind of goofy because they are goofs, right? They're a bunch of dorks, right? But the Elite, I know they dress wacky and they have outlandish, outfits, but they're just trying to be just over the top heels. And so why would they want to come out in costumes, these Ghostbuster costumes? Because it's not gonna get heat. It's gonna get either people are gonna laugh or they're gonna love it, right? So you're not trying to get heat or building up anything on the heels. It's just, so I didn't like that part. And plus the reveal.
Well, if I just butt in, I think the reason that we're supposed to feel why they did is so they could all use foreign objects.
Was it no disqualification?
No, it wasn't, but because it was part of their costume, I mean, the match wasn't technically no disqualification,
Well,
but
the Berserker
referee
sword was part of his costume. He couldn't wasn't allowed to murder Undertaker, you know, they wouldn't want to do that.
Well, the first spot where they sort of used it was when Kenny turned his stomach to the turnbuckle and I forget who dove at him, but that was like, oh, this is this is why you're wearing this costume, because you can sort of sneak it as as for an object. And then they did the thing where they just
Powerbomb.
they jumped on those dudes all together with their backs, which was dumb. That doesn't hurt anybody. But then the Colt Cabana, the power bomb onto the thing. So that, I think that it was supposed to be like, oh, like these guys are just bad guys and they outsmarted the referee or whatever. But this is where JR I thought was a little bit out of line. And he said I should have wrote it down so that I could actually get the entire thing. But he was saying that, it's not the referee's fault. The wrestlers are idiots. And I was like, okay, I get what he's saying.
I missed that one. What the hell?
But then I thought back. I was like, okay, let me think about this. If John Miller is doing play-by-play, and that's how high I see JR, right? John Miller is one of the best ever. And that's where that's where I see JR as. But if John Miller saw a player do something really, really stupid, he wouldn't call the player an idiot. He would figure out a way to get across what the fans should feel without undressing the player. So that's where I thought JR was like way off. Like, because he could talk around it like he always does. This is where Bowling Shoe Ugly comes from, right? It's because it's him saying this match sucks. Mm-hmm. And he uses a different phrase, a creative phrase. And so, I don't know. I just think he was
embarrassed. I mean, I know he's been a part of some embarrassing stuff in WWE, but he knows what they're trying to do.
Nothing even comes close to some of the ass stuff that they did.
Oh, I know. But he knows what they're trying to build to, right? Adam Page, Kenny Omega. He knows it's a couple weeks away, and it's just not the time for this. And I didn't. But beyond just the silliness, right, and the ridiculousness, what they were doing. The Adam Page reveal they did something similar with Darby Allin earlier in the night. So you get two people under masks in one show. One was better than the other, and Darby Allin's was way better than this.
But again, they get away with it because technically it's Halloween. Like, that's how they can get away with it.
Yeah, it's fine, but that's, and once the horse came out, I knew who that was. I didn't see anything.
It was funny. I didn't actually think it was him.
You think it was Cutler?
No.
Well, I knew it was
I thought it was Don.
Which one's that?
Where has Don Callis been anyway?
Oh, I don't know. But that would have been good. But
that's what I was hoping was. I was like, oh, Don, like it's got to be Don. And then when it was Cutler, I was like,
I don't think Don Callis would let himself. He probably. I mean, a manager should show their ass every once in a while, but not like I think that Cutler's that's his job, right? But I knew something was up because we haven't seen Adam Page all night, right? And of course, the Dark Order promo last week. But here's also a thing too, so Adam Page's goal was to reveal himself as a surprise to Omega, right? Or who was it? Matt Jackson, whoever, the Elite, anyone, right? So he sat there and watched them multiple low blows on his friends, power bomb on stacks of Ghostbuster backpack. I can't even explain it, so my wife walks behind me as I'm explaining. She's probably like, is he talking wrestling or is he talking Ghostbusters right now? So they power bomb on these jetpack things, or what do you call them? Proton back. Yeah, thank you. Sorry. And then, so that's not a time to reveal himself. He's going to let this guys get punished. So it's all a bunch of bullshit. That's why.
But you know why? He's the smartest guy. You know why? Because no ref was to be found in any of those moments. And the true way he gets these guys back is that, of all people, Johnny Hungy is able to pin Matt Jackson to win the match. That's why he knew that was the time. Was okay. Referee's about to wake up. Let's do it now. That's why he did it.
Wonderful. This is stupid.
So I brought that up, and look, we're gonna do our likes and dislikes, but part of my likes, or my first like, was the idea that AEW is catering to a very wide range of wrestling fans. And with all of these great Bryan Danielson matches that we've gotten in these last few weeks, like, if you were to say, oh, what's the kind of style of wrestling that I am looking for in wrestling? Like, for me personally, it is what Bryan Danielson did with Minoru Suzuki. It is what Bryan Danielson did with Bobby Fish. It is what Bryan Danielson did with Dustin Rhodes. So the level of at least for my taste of wrestling, the quality has increased by a lot just by having Danielson and now Punk. You know, Punk is, I'm not sure if that match with Fish was necessarily what I would call good, and it is in sort of the rear view of the match that Danielson had with him, but still, it is a style where they're doing a long match, and so in doing a long match, it's going to be selling. We're not going to see these goofy ref bumps. Like, this is a statement by both Danielson and Punk going like, look, like, we're going to bring something different to AEW. We're not going to AEW and doing everything that the Elite do, because why? They're already doing that. We're going to bring what we do best into AEW, and I think that is that's going to be a true benefit to these guys, because there's real trust in Punk and Danielson now that you kind of have to watch these matches. Like, Danielson is not gonna just mail in a performance where he goes 2.5 minutes and loses because he looks like a stupid babyface. Like, that's not the wrestling that we're gonna get here. So that was my first like, which was just that I have so much trust in Punk, in Danielson, and the guys that they're bringing along with them to wrestle that style, that for my taste, I am going to get something on Rampage and Dynamite that I really like now. And that wasn't the case necessarily before those guys came in. Like, I still liked a lot of that stuff, but when it came to my favorite style of wrestling, there wasn't a lot of matches with that until these guys came in.
Oh yeah, well they just upped the quality, and they brought quality, and definitely CM Punk and Bryan Danielson aren't thinking, you know what, we're just gonna goof off now because they like that stuff here. No, they're gonna do what they do, right? That's people don't want to see Bryan Danielson act goofy. They want to see him have great matches. CM Punk wants to have great matches. He even said himself, he's not gonna come back do stupid TV, right? Yeah. So he wants to do what he wants to do. And of course, they're going to let him do what he wants to do. And that's just going to happen by getting these new talents coming in from the, free agents from WWE. Ring of Honor now is going to have a lot of free agents. So I could see the Briscoe brothers going there. Jay Lethal, I would get. There's Gresham. There's a few Taven. There's a bunch of guys they can get. But then you also got to release a bunch of people, which wouldn't be a bad thing because they need to trim that fat on that roster anyways. But anyways, it's just going to up the quality of the show. And, and like there's variety, of course, right? Like, but back in 1995, I loved Eddie Guerrero versus Chris Benoit on Nitro. Yep. But I hated the Dungeon and Doom stuff. So I love CM Punk and Bobby Fish. I didn't say I liked it. I liked Punk and Fish. They screwed up the finish, though. Hated the Dungeon and Doom stuff later on.
Yeah.